Are keeping you stuck at low to mid five figures a month. And some of you that might sound like a good number, potentially watching this video, but I'm sure no one here watching this is thinking, I want to stay at 20K a month for the next 10 years of my life. I'm sure you're thinking, I want to grow my business, right? And if you're watching this video, you probably fall into one of two buckets. Either one, you've tried outbound, you've tried things that aren't referrals or networking, and it might have not worked, or maybe it has, in which case, fantastic. Or two, you've never actually tried it before. You're a person that has purely relied on referrals and networking for the entirety of their business life, right? And tell you what, referrals and networking are good, and they do increase revenue. They're easy to close. They're people you know potentially. They've put in a good word. There's not much hassle going on. They know what you do. They know how much you charge. It's just a case of sign the dotted lines. That's it. And that's really good, genuinely. But there are problems that come along with it. If you have referrals, this is not a video that's telling you stop doing referrals or stop doing networking. Not at all. This is a video that's saying here are three reasons why you can't only rely on referrals and networking. So my name's Wael Lekamis and I'm the co-founder of Account Grow. I run this agency with my partner and we help accountants and CFOs obviously scale and add an extra at least three clients each month to their business. And we've had quite a bit of experience over the last 2 years. We've taken on quite a few clients and we've seen an emerging pattern from each of our clients that they're relying on referrals and they are relying on networking. Again, which is fine, but they all seem to get to a point. No, usually it's around the 30K a month, 40, potentially 50 on the higher end, and they get stuck there, right? They can't go past that. And then that's what we help them do. We've helped people also on the low, four figures a month, go up to five and high five and mid five, but mainly it's the people that are 20, 30, 40K because these are the people that have a vast network and they've gotten loads of referrals, but now they're looking to go past the six, seven, and eight figures. So, as I mentioned, referrals are good. And I'm quite a visual person, so I'll be using this board. It will help you look at it as well, depending on whether you're visual or not. Even if you're not, you could just skip to the end of the video and see what the reasons are if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But there we go. And before I jump into it, just to let you know a little bit about myself, I'm quite a straight to the point guy. So if I say something, you're like, oh, that was a bit head first, that was a bit potentially or aggressive. I just like to say things the way they are. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I like to say things the way they are because I feel like this is what wakes people up, because that's definitely what wakes me up. I remember my brother always used to tell me the way things are, and it really helped me grow as a person and grow my business. I don't want to fluff anything up for you and make it seem pretty. So getting into this, I'll make sure you get the cold hard facts. So reason number one, referrals will keep you stuck, is that obviously they are unpredictable. So number one, unpredictable. So no matter how much of a good job you do, hopefully you can read my writing by the way, no matter how good you are at what you do, and I know that you are good at what you do as a fractional CFO and accountant, I know that you deliver a fantastic job. You can't control when someone goes up to their friend who's potentially also a business owner and goes, use my accountant, use my fractional CFO, this guy's amazing. You can't control that. You can ask for it, but once you've used it all up, then you're stuck, right? And you're relying on other people to grow your business. You can't say, I grew my business. You say, these people grew my business for me. These people referred me. Yes, I did a fantastic job, but they were the one that gave me more clients, which is fine, again. But you need to be able to say that I can rely on myself to get more business, right? Otherwise, again, you will be stuck. And this is, the classic chat GPT phrase, feast or famine. Any agency owner that says, write a LinkedIn post for me will tell them, oh, feast or famine. If you rely on for referrals, it will be feast or famine. And as cliche as it is at this point, it is true, right? It is feast or famine. You'll get loads at one point, but potentially nothing at all other months. And what you want is something every single month consistent. Because if I came up to you and I said, go sign five clients every single month for the next 12 months or 24 months or 36 months, you know deep down that you're going to need a system that consistently generates X amount of leads every single month to be able to close that much. Otherwise, once you've used up all your referrals, once you've used up all your network, you've gone dry. That's it, right? So that's the first one. It's the fact that they are unpredictable and out of your control. And I know that you want to control what happens in your business. And reason two is a bit of a nuanced one. So is that they don't introduce you to the world of sales. I'm gonna call it what should we call it? Let's call it unreliable sales. No, unrealistic sales. There we go. So unrealistic sales. I want to make sure I leave enough space for the third point. So what do I mean by unrealistic sales? So for unrealistic sales, it's basically these guys are easy to close, right? And then when you get a cold lead or a warm lead from somewhere else, you might be thinking, oh, I don't like these. This doesn't work. I'm going to go back to referrals because they're just so much easier to close, right? But the truth of the matter is, right, yes, they're easy to close, but there's a whole market out there that doesn't know who you are or what you do that can be closed, but that will be harder to close. That's the difference, right? That's what I mean by unrealistic sales. I mean that these people are easy to close, but that's not realistic. That's not what goes for the rest of the market. So again, anytime you do encounter someone that's not a warm lead, or not even a warm lead, just straight up a referral or a network, you're going to think, oh, this doesn't work. This is awful, right? I want to go back to my referrals. And it's true, but then again, let's say you want to grow your company and you want to hire a sales rep, right? How are you going to teach them to close if all you've been closing are referrals? If you want to bring on an SDR, they're literally going to be starting from scratch, right? They're going to be prospecting on their own and they're going to literally be trying to close on their own. And they might come to you and they might be like, how do I close these clients? I know you've told me you've closed 50, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 1,000 clients. How did you close those guys? And then you're going to be given tips. I'm sure you give some good tips, but in the end, you'll realize, oh man, all of those have been referrals and networks. Like they were just super easy to close. And this guy's really going to struggle to close. He's really going to struggle to convert the cold, potentially warm clients or warm prospects, sorry, that are coming in. And obviously that's not great. But on the other hand, if you've been closing warm and cold prospects on your own, you'll be able to hire someone and go, this is the script I used, this is how I handled their objections, this is how I asked them questions, this is how I presented our product, this is how I presented our services, and this is what closed deals. And that way it's literally copy paste. It's amazing, right? You hire them, you're like, use this exact framework that I've been using for the past 5, 10, 20 years, and then they'll be closing for you, right? But then if you've only been relying on referrals and networking, then you can't apply that because they've been referrals and networking, unless you want them to close referrals and networks, which is fine. But again, they are fairly easy. And the last point I wanted to talk about is that they keep you comfortable. So keep you comfortable. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you get referrals, it gives you this illusion that things are consistent, things are growing, things are predictable, because you're getting clients, you're like, yeah, I'm sure someone else will refer me next month, or maybe you know that they won't, but it gives this illusion that things are going up, and they are. But again, it's missing that consistency, missing that predictability. So it keeps you comfortable in the sense that you think, no, I don't need to do outbound because, I'm getting plenty of referrals as it is. And again, as I mentioned earlier, anytime you get a warm or a cold prospect, potentially someone, for example, clicked on your website and booked a call with you, you'll be like, oh, this guy sucks. Not this guy sucks, but this prospect sucks. They've got a bunch of objections. They think it's too expensive. They're going to stick with their accountant, whatever they say. And you're like, oh, I want to go back to referrals. This outbound stuff doesn't work. And this is what's hardest to sort of explain to people, especially when they use outbound agency. Now, Lord knows there are a bunch of terrible outbound agencies out there. And trust me and my partner, we've tried all sorts of things. LinkedIn, cold calling, emailing, everything, right? And we know what works. And we know that there are bad outbound agencies out there. But there are also outbound agencies. And there's times we've had clients where they've been like, no, I don't like these leads. And the reason they didn't like these leads, this was back when we did cold calling, by the way, which we don't do anymore, thankfully. And back when they got those leads, they were like, these guys are just vaguely interested. And we were like, yes, because these guys were too used to their referrals, people that are ready to buy straight away. Luckily, we've cracked that now. We found a way to bring in people as close to that as possible. But then you've got to understand that a very small fraction of the market is ready to buy, right? Most of the market need convincing, right? Have you ever, for example, wanted to buy, let's say, a phone, right? And you want to buy it, you know you want to buy it, but you think, oh, it's a bit expensive. And you call up maybe your wife, your sister, your brother, your dad, whoever it is. And you're like, oh, do you think I should buy my phone? Buy this phone? And you know that you're asking them because you want them to say, yes, go buy it, treat yourself. You just need that extra little nudge. And that's where most of the market is. They're at where the point where they want to move forward with you, but they need that extra nudge. That's the market. That's where most of the prospects lie. And this is where you need to have enough sales skills to be, okay, what is your current problem? What is stopping you from moving forward? How can I make sure that we can relieve those problems and so you can move forward with me, right? I've had loads of people, I've had a ton of sales calls, and they are so simple sometimes, the objections, right? Right, so like for example, someone I remember, they were hesitant to move forward because they'd been burned before, right? So I was like, what's stopping you from moving forward? And he was like, yeah, well, I've tried this before and I sunk 3 grand into it and I got nothing out of it. I was like, damn, that's rough, but fair enough, that does happen. So what can I do to help you move forward? And he was like, oh, if there was some sort of guarantee, I'd happily move forward. So I was like, so if I give you guarantee, would you be happy to move forward? He was like, yeah, just to make sure you get that commitment from him. And I gave him a guarantee. I was really confident in what we did. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give you a guarantee. And he moved forward. But unless I asked him that question, unless I asked him what's stopping you from moving forward, it's just going to seem like a bad lead, right? Even if someone's interested or someone, seems like they want what you have, unless they buy, obviously it's not closed prospect. And then it starts to get frustrating as the number of appointments rack up and number of closes goes down. And the reason I went on this whole tangent is because it creates this delusion where if someone isn't ready to buy, you instantly class them as not a good fit, and you potentially start blaming the agency, the SDR, whoever's bringing in these appointments for you, that they're not a good fit. But in reality, it's the fact that you're not used to closing cold and warm prospects. And for some people, it goes as far as to the point where they literally say anything that's not referrals and networking doesn't work, right? And that's a really classic way to think of business back in the 1980s, 90s. And it's just not true. It's that whatever isn't being closed is likely because you're not good enough to close it. And it's a rough reality, it's true. But if you know what's stopping from people moving forward and you can create a solution to that, people will move forward. Because when you compare referrals to cold leads, you've got referrals on one hand, they know what you do, they know what you do, they know the results you've gotten, they know how much you charge, they know, well, everything, right? And a cold lead doesn't know how much you charge, they don't know what you do, they don't know the past results, they just know they have a problem. That's it, right? Referrals also know they have a problem, but that's the only thing cold leads know. So you need to show them past results, your pricing, and make sure that the value you bring to them makes sense to the pricing. And I'll get into that in another video, making sure that you can charge more and making it seem valuable. So obviously if you save someone 100k in tax, 5k a month is not a lot. They're making almost 2x that, right? But anyway, I won't get into that today. So long story short, that's the 3 key main points. I thought I'd be writing stuff here, but I got into a bit of a word spewing. So that's it. So as a conclusion, if you want to push past the low to mid 5 figures a month and you want to grow your firm to high six figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, then you can't, well, most people can't rely on networking unless your network is absolutely massive. And full transparency, heads up, I am about to pitch you. So if you want to click off now, feel free to do it. But essentially, me and my partner, we've built Account Grow. We've been working with accountants and fractional CFOs for the past 2 years. We've gotten amazing results. Just our last client closed 2 deals, and then in the first 10 appointments we booked him. And if you want to learn more about having a consistent pipeline, appointments every single month, clients coming in every single month consistently, predictably, then book a call. I'll put the link in the description and we can go through that with you and create a plan specifically tailored to you. Anyway, that's all from me. Have a good one.